your mind will always outwork your hands.
It's that cliche comment, work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Right? Hey guys, welcome to the ProfitDig live show. Well, I guess it's live for us. It's recorded for y'all, but
But we're here. We're here live.
We're here. It's live for us. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So
Beer's cold. We're good.
yeah, mine's sweating.
Well, that happens sometimes.
All right. So we noticed some interesting comments. One specifically from at Andrew Hudson W2T. Andrew was saying that the term working foreman has been abused. And I thought, that's an interesting concept. Maybe we should talk about that. So thanks, Andrew,
Yeah.
for spreading the question.
Appreciate your comment.
What does it mean to be a working foreman?
I mean, what it means today is definitely different than it meant, 10, 15 years ago. Well, 10, 15 years ago, I mean, it's like a working foreman was like when you had a crew, the foreman was meant to physically be as subjective to doing the work as the rest of the crew.
To be also a laborer.
Yeah. Whatever need was meant to be. And today, I mean, it still stands true to a certain extent. But, in my opinion, and in the way that I focus on and run my crews, is we don't necessarily look at them as working foremans. Mm-hmm. They're foremans in a position to. When I bid a project, I have certain production rates that has to come through to be profitable on a project. So when I put my production into my bid, I've got to relay that to my superintendent, and therefore he has to relay that to his foremans. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a tier deal, It's like I'm the project manager. I'm actually the manager of my company, and I have a superintendent that works under me, and then he's over all our crews.
Mm-hmm. Your boots on the ground,
right? So whenever I bid a project and we are awarded that project, then that's like, hey man, this is our production rate. This is how many, cubic yards of material we got to move per day. This is how many linear feet of pipe we got to lay per day. Whatever that production rate may be, and then he takes that and relays it to the foreman. Now, me as a project manager, I may have X amount of production in there, but I'm never going to tell my superintendent the full production rate. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell him less. I want him to be, or more, excuse me, I don't tell him more. I want him to be able to do more.
So you can come in under budget.
Yeah, exactly. So as far as the working foreman goes, in my opinion, it's like to get the most productivity out of that foreman is to have a good crew to support him. Mm-hmm. Make sure he's got enough manpower to do this project that he's working on. And I want him to delegate. I want him to be in charge as far as which foremans are supposed to be. I don't want him to have to worry about doing physical labor unless he just absolutely has to. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not. It's not.
So that's your least priority.
That's my least priority. My priority for him is to be studying those drawings, looking at what we're looking at what we're up against. As far as this particular project goes, I want him to be able to look at those plans, figure out where his most productive aspect is going to be on that project, making sure he's got everything laid out for his men to where they can do the best job they can possibly do, and come in at or under budget so that the company I work for or the company you may own can make the most profit of that you could possibly make. Okay. So if you have a working foreman, and I know through your comment there, it sounds like that you worked your way up through the ranks, and I appreciate that. That's how most all of us have gotten to where we've got. Whether it be an office position, whether it be an engineering position, a marketing position, whatever it be, we have all dealt with starting off at the lowest level and working our way up to be the most productive person we can possibly be. If you have the motivation and the willpower to do it, if not, then you're going to stay stalemate. You're going to be mediocre.
Yeah. Well, notice I've been managing a team for, I guess almost 2 years now. And it was really hard for me at first to back off.
Right.
Because every time I saw
And let them do what they are supposed to. Yeah.
I mean, I had hired these guys
Right.
to be all-stars. I'm not letting them be all-stars if I'm jumping in and doing their job for
Right.
them.
Exactly.
I need to.
And that's what you're paying them to do.
Yeah, and the best thing that I can do as their manager, or in the case of like a foreman and his team, is I need to remove as many resistances as possible to getting the job done.
Yeah.
That's my one goal. And not only that, you know, those are the expectations, but then going above and beyond for them to make sure that not only have I removed the resistances, but we're improving too. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure it applies to on a construction site as well.
It's interesting. I mean, hell, you can work in a damn bank. You know, it doesn't matter what you're doing. I mean, at some point, somebody's got to be delegated responsibility to make sure that, you know, whatever task they're set to do comes in at a certain rate or a certain date, you know, whatever it may be. You know, you've got to make that happen. And you've got to be able to have men in place to make it happen. Men or women, you know, it doesn't matter. But as far as our foremen go, yes, they are still considered working foremen because they will step in. But what's the cost? You know, why not add an extra laborer or extra operator, you know, whatever it may be, to give your foreman that freedom to be able to study those drawings.
You got to orchestrate the project.
Yeah. And come up with a mindset, you know, between him and his superintendent, you know, like, hey, these are the production rates we've got to reach. How can I possibly reach these production rates? Because we do incentive bonuses where I work. And, I mean, it goes a long way with the guys. When they finish a project, if they come in under budget, then they get sometimes a massive amount of money for coming in, you know, X amount. If they come in, just say, you know, $40,000, $50,000 under budget. Well, what we do is we divide it up between the number of men on the crew. The company takes 15% right off the top.
What? That ain't too bad.
That ain't bad.
Take 15%. So we take, you know, 75% of what's, or no, 85% of what's left. And we divide it up. You know, the foreman gets the biggest chunk, operators get the next biggest chunk, laborers, pipe layers, and so on and so forth, you know, get the least amount. But we divide it up between them, and they get bonuses, incentive bonuses throughout the year, you know, on the number of projects they get complete. And that way, our foremen are motivated to motivate his crew to when they go to the next project. You know, like, hey, I like his damn check at the end of the job.
Yeah.
You know, let's knock that shit out.
Bonuses are nice.
Yeah, they are. And so, you know, out of the whole gist of this, Andrew, the best thing I can say is, like, you know, hey, I know what it's like to bust your balls and work your ass off to get where you got. But in the grand scheme of things, your mind will always outwork your hands.
It's that cliche comment: work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Right? Like, there's only so much elbow grease you can apply.
Right. Your mind will always be more productive than what any hand can be, you know, if you use your mind in the right way. You've got to be able to look at that, your project. And like a guy told me a long time ago, a guy taught me how to run a bulldozer. His name was Roy Seagrass. Great man. I looked up to him, loved him to death. And he told me, he's like, if you don't have foresight, if you can't see what that project's supposed to look like when it's finished, there's no way that you're going to be productive and be able to get it there.
You know, that's a basic business concept anyway. Whatever it is you're doing, you visualize what that thing is you're trying to do. And,
Yeah. You know, for me, it kind of breaks down into two different categories. And I'm kind of branching off the working foreman topic here, but, you know, you've got two different approaches. You can start from a goal and work your way back on, you know, with what we have, how can we reach our goal? Or you can take the other approach, which is focusing on behavioral patterns. So, like, I'm not necessarily concerned about reaching a specific number, but if my team is doing these specific things day in and day out, like, instead of focusing on I need to lose 80 pounds or whatever, it's like I just need to make sure I work out every day. You know, like, simple example, but it's kind of two different approaches that can both be successful.
It's kind of like the lady that she died. She went to heaven. And she had St. Peter. She was like, I prayed and prayed and prayed to win the lottery, but I never prayed. I never won. St. Peter looked at her and said, well, you got to buy a ticket first. Yeah.
That's right.
So, it's kind of the same deal. But, and what I was saying a while ago, your mind will always outwork your hands physically, as far as being creative on how to get a project complete. And I'm sure y'all seen the videos on TikTok and Facebook and other places. You got two guys. One's digging a ditch, one is moving material. This guy takes a shovel, throws the dirt out of the ditch up on the bank. The guy behind him is taking the shovel, picking up the material he just put up there and throwing it in the ditch behind him. So, it's like, you can work your ass off day in and day out, but if you're not using your head, you're not accomplishing anything. If you're not using your head to see the foresight in this project, what it's supposed to look like, how it's supposed to turn out, then you're not going to be productive. You've got to figure out a way, and that's what, as a working foreman, in my mind nowadays, 15, 20 years ago, working foreman was out there busting his ass. He was running a piece of machinery. He was, using a shovel, whatever it took to get the job done, he was in the middle of it. But nowadays, he's got enough men under him, he can delegate. Like, hey, today, and that's what my dad taught me years ago. He's like, when you leave that job in the afternoon, he's like, you need to be focused on your drive home. You need to be focused on what you're going to be doing tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't show up in the morning and try to figure out what you're going to do. You need to have a game plan tonight on your way home to what tomorrow's going to look like.
Man, we were entering the business advice tonight. That's it. Y'all ought to be sending us a check for $1,000. Just roll it.
Yeah. I would settle for a like, a share, and a subscribe.
That would me too.
Or leave a comment.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Andrew Hudson.
Yeah.
Let me double check. Andrew Hudson W2T. Thanks for leaving a comment on the video.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Give us something interesting to talk about.
We may have went totally off the rails of what you was commenting on, but I felt like we were in the gist of what you was making a statement about.
Yeah. And normally we just type responses when people leave comments, but we thought, what, let's kind of just take a portion of what they were. It wasn't even a question, right? We just thought that's an interesting thought that Andrew had. We should explore that.
There may be other people out there that's watching the channel, that may feel the same way you do, Andrew. It's like, they may have the same concerns or same statements that you made. So we've touched on them to the best of our abilities. If we're not correct in what you stated, let us know in the comments, email us back. Let us know. Hey, we'll address it again.
All
right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys, to the ProfitDig live show. Thanks for leaving a comment, Andrew.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for the world's best bidding and costing solution,
the cheapest,
and probably the cheapest, we feel like we're very competitive on our price.
Yes.
Yeah. Check us out at ProfitDig.com. Hope you guys have a good one.
See you guys.
Yeah.